Hi everyone, my name is Roxy. I am the owner and master trainer here at Corebound Pilates, and we are a rehab and prehab focused virtual studio designed to help you unfuck your body. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is breath work as core work. And I just want to preface this whole conversation by saying sometimes when something is simple, when it is like, oh, we're just breathing, oh, we're just walking, we're just drinking water, like sometimes those simple things, we don't give them the credit that they deserve. We don't give them the time and the energy or the merit that they deserve because we think it's not going to be enough. We think, oh, I need to be hitting the gym, I need to be hitting the weight room, I need to be counting calories, macro tracking, meal prepping, I need to be doing all of this stuff in order to see results. And usually, almost always, in pretty much every experience I've had training people over the years, almost always, it is the simple thing that makes the biggest difference. And one of the simple things that makes a huge difference for everybody, especially when it comes to chronic pain, especially when it comes to hypermobility or pelvic floor dysfunction, shoulder injuries even, so many things can come back to better breath work. And better breath work is the foundation of the core work that we will be doing throughout all of Pilates, throughout every time you train with me. I teach primarily classical Pilates, and breath work in classical Pilates takes a lot of different forms. We have this joke because Joseph Pilates had asthma, so it's every exercise is a breathing exercise, because you just imagine him being like suctioning in air, because it's hard to breathe in a lot of these positions, and you will experience that too when you start training Pilates. And you might experience that in your normal life, like maybe you get winded just walking upstairs, maybe you take pole dance classes, you dance for a whole song and you're dying at the end of it, you're out of breath. I want to emphasize that even though breath seems simple, it has so much power to change your life and your body. So let's talk about some things that I want you to pay attention to in your own journey with breath work. These can be incorporated into yoga classes if you're taking them. This can be incorporated into your meditation. This can be incorporated into the workouts you're already doing. Everybody always asks on day one of teacher training, how do I breathe? And it's like, I always giggle to myself because I'm like, this is not a question that I can answer in 2 sentences in a way that is satisfying to you. So this longer form video exists to kind of give you some background on how and why we breathe the way we do in different positions. Let's start with, in Pilates, we usually go horizontal to vertical. So we're gonna start by talking about the 100, which is the first exercise in the classical circuit. And we take that exercise laying on our backs. You're gonna pull your knees into your chest. You're gonna start in a gentle ball. Now, whenever we start an exercise, we're gonna start proximal, close to our center, coming into a tight ball, pulling our knees in towards our chest. It's a lot easier to find core engagement when we have shorter levers. If we start the 100, stretched all the way out, and then we try to lift up, that takes a whole lot more core strength than if I come into a gentle ball, and then I lift my head and shoulders from here. Now in the 100, before you even get to the actual exercise itself, I want you to practice breathing in that ball position. Let's talk about how to get the right configuration for your body. I'm gonna bring my hands onto my knees, and I'm gonna push my knees into my hands. Now my hands aren't slipping away. I'm holding on, I have a death grip here. I'm pushing my knees into my hands, and I'm using that push of my knees to help me start to lift my shoulders. Depending on how much your rib cage is usually flared will determine how successful you will be at this. If you have strong core, you'll probably be able to just sit yourself all the way up. If you've struggled with rib flare or shoulder injuries for a lot of years, you might only get about here. And if you're hypermobile, I don't want you feeling this in your neck. The goal here is not to feel any pain in your neck at all. It should all be abs. So if you need to bring your hands to the back of your knees for a better grip, you can. And you can take breaks whenever you start to feel fatigue and your neck starts to take the brunt. I want you to push those legs into your hands enough to pull your shoulders up a little bit. Almost like you're gonna roll up, but not quite there. The tips of my shoulder blades are still on the mat. You can see where my brow line is, still on the mat. You're gonna come into this position. You can soften your arms so that your elbows don't take too much beating. And you're gonna think about breathing into your back body, into the mat beneath you. You can watch my ribs inflate as I do. Inhale, and then I zip my abs in as I exhale. So I'm directing my breath down into my lower back and bottom ribs. And then as I exhale, I pull my abs in. It's kind of hard to see if you're not used to watching bodies move. So I want you not to be caught up in looking at my body, trying to figure it out. I want you to be in your head and in your body and thinking, what does it feel like to send my breath into my back? Do I feel this in my neck? Are my arms hyperextended? are my tips of my shoulder blades on the ground. I want you to focus on putting yourself in that position where you're not feeling your neck, you're feeling your abs, you're feeling supported with your arms and your legs, and then holding that position. This is where the challenge comes in. You're gonna think about breathing in and breathing out. Once you try to breathe in that position with all those muscles flexed, your ribs are gonna be like, wait, what the fuck? Where do I put the air? Where does it go? That's where your diaphragm comes in. Holding your body in that shape, using the muscles on the side of your back. I'm gonna sit upright so you can see a little bit better what's happening here. But as I'm in that curved position, you can see my abs are pulling in to support my spine. My hamstrings are working because they're pushing into my arms. My shoulders are working because I'm pulling against my legs. So I've now got my whole posterior chain, the whole back line of my body is working really hard to keep me in this ball shape. If I try to breathe in and I don't keep that engagement and my chest puffs up, everything goes away. So when you're in this engagement and you force yourself to breathe in, the air only has one option. It has to go down into your lower back. Your rib cage has to hold steady so your diaphragm can inflate downward into your lower back. And exhale. You can try this sitting upright too if you're really feeling it in your neck. The second exercise in classical Pilates is the roll up. I am a huge fan of the half roll back. I would rather you give me your best half roll back for years as opposed to a shitty roll up where you fling yourself all the way up. Hate it so much. You're not getting anything out of it. It's gonna take you so much longer to do it with control. Start with the half roll back. Let's talk about the half roll back with breathing. So it's similar. I have my knees bent, especially because if you got a little bit more booty or if you're always in this kind of arch position and you have low back pain, it can be a little bit easier to find that pelvis scoop. Like I'm past my sit bones here, like my butthole flashlight pointing straight forward, not down at the floor, straight forward. That's a lot of ab work just to get there. So you might grab the back of your legs, you might hook a resistance band around your feet to hold on, you might grab the front of your knees, wherever you can find this little ab engagement and you're off of your sit bones, your butthole is pointing forward, not down, forward. Should be a lot of work to sit here. It might even feel like you're gonna fall back. That's a good sign you're doing it right. You come into this position, soft elbows, same thing. Breathe into your lower back, breathe out. And then as you're doing your roll back, you can pause, you can breathe in, you can use your exhale to breathe out. I like to think I'm pretty strong, and even doing that half roll back, really mindfully focusing on my breath, that was a lot. I was shaking. My ribs started to shake, my abs started to shake. I could feel the work happening, and I only had to do one rep. So this is the power of breath in these exercises. Like I need you to just trust me when I say it seems simple, but it is powerful. So before we get into more exercises, now that we have those kind of under our belt, let's talk about what is actually happening inside of our body with our diaphragm, because the next few poses we're gonna be a little bit more upright and it's gonna challenge you a little bit more to keep that engagement. So I really want you to have a visual. So when you're doing this, you can visualize your anatomy. That always really helps me to think about like what is actually happening in my body, especially when it comes to chronic pain or injury or hypermobility. Knowing what's going on can help the pain a lot because I can tell myself, oh, I feel a little nerve pinch. That's just some sciatica. I know if I give myself some flosses, it will free up. As opposed to just being like, oh my God, there's this scary pain in my back. I have no idea what's happening. It's the same thing with breath. You know, it's like you hear someone telling you to take a deep breath in, fill your lungs, inflate, and you think you're doing it right. But if you don't really know what your anatomy is supposed to be doing inside of your body, then all you have to go off of is the cues the instructor is giving you that day. So anatomy is a super important part of learning Pilates. I like to teach it to you over time through experience. Like as you experience these sensations in your body, that's when I'll loop in and be like, hey, that's this muscle, that's this thing that's going on. That's how you're going to learn anatomy through me. And I always emphasize the importance of body work. And this is not required for everybody, and this is not a post on body work, but if you are someone who can fit massage therapy or acupuncture into your routine, those things can also be ways to help you connect to your anatomy so you understand what's happening in your body. Okay, off my soapbox, let's talk about the diaphragm. So my rib cage, you can see the lines of my rib cage, they come here. My pelvis, let's see if I can get my hip bones in the shot for you, are about right here. Now when I put my pelvis in neutral, a neutral pelvis for me, so Upright, I'm gonna have a little bit of a curve in my back. That's normal. When we start training together, I'm probably gonna have you go a little past neutral and find a little bit more of a tuck. Most of you guys come to me with back pain, and most of you have been in this position for your whole life. And so yes, our eventual goal is gonna be neutral pelvis. That will come later when you've built the body awareness. When we're starting, we're gonna find a little bit of a tuck, and look how nice and flat my back just got when I did that. You can see I went from that sway all the way into a flat back. I kind of sat my butt down a little bit more. Now, you don't have to be in a child's pose if that hurts your knees. You can be sitting upright. You can also be sitting on a bolster, wherever you can find this position. Your front ribs probably exist somewhere out here if you've been struggling with this a lot. And my front ribs, especially if I have that sway back, they're gonna be forward. As soon as I tuck my tail to flatten my back, my ribs are naturally gonna start to come down. And I'm gonna be able to find this engagement a little bit better. Now what we're doing here is we're stacking our rib cage, angling it down, and we're stacking our pelvis, angling it up. Now we've created this lovely little kind of like dome in the middle of our body for our breath to go. That's what we want. Now the reason breath work is core work is because once you try to inhale, your chest is gonna wanna rise. What happened to my ribs? They flared out. What happened to my back? It arched. If I say breathe into your belly and you just push your belly forward, where are you putting air? This isn't an inhale, I'm just shoving my abs out. We don't wanna do that. That's gonna lead to diastasis recti, that's gonna cause a lot of other problems. If you've ever lifted in a weight belt and your strategy has always been to brace out against the weight belt and squat like that, this is gonna feel very, very counterintuitive. I want you to think about your rib cage and your pelvis as your body's built-in weight belt. You've got all these lovely muscles here, inside of your ribs, your intercostals, along the sides of your rib cage into your shoulders, your serratus anterior and posterior muscles, your lats that support your shoulders. We're getting into rotator cuff. And then you've got your transverse abdominals holding your pelvis steady, as well as the other ab muscles that kind of wrap your obliques, you know, all the things that we've got going on here. We've got a whole cage of muscle support for our ribs and our pelvis, and all we have to do is get them to work together. So I'm gonna find this position, a nice flat back, a nice tucked tail. Again, neutral pelvis will come later. Nice tuck tail for now. I want your back flat. You can even sit up against a wall so you have feedback and you can really feel your back being flat. You're gonna hold it here and you're just gonna let your diaphragm inflate downward. So as you breathe in, your diaphragm is like a balloon that you're blowing up. And as you blow it up, it inflates downward towards your pelvis. It's gonna push out your stomach a little bit. It should also push equally into your back and into your sides. This whole ring of your body here is where the air is going. Your muscles are responsible for keeping your ribs still, keeping your pelvis still, so the air can fill this middle part of your body. As I breathe in, air goes down. As I breathe out, air goes up. I want you to watch my abs. I want you to watch what happens when I breathe in, when I breathe out. And if you see on the exhale, everything hugs in. So imagining that balloon, it inflates downward towards your pelvis. This is putting some pressure into your pelvic floor. That's good. If you listen to the Pelvic Freak Show at all, if you've ever struggled with constipation, they have an episode where they talk about using breath to help you poop. And one of the things they say is inhale your poop out, which is, it's funny, but it is what is happening. You're breathing down, you're using your inhale to put some gentle pressure in your pelvic floor. That can really help with constipation. That can really help with digestion. So you're using that inhale. You might feel a little bit of downward pressure into your pelvis, into your pelvic floor. It might feel a little weird and different. And as you exhale, you're gonna feel that balloon deflating. So just kind of casually releasing, not like forcing anything out. You're just going to imagine a balloon or an inflatable air mattress starting to deflate. And you're also gonna think about your abs lifting. So that's the lift of your pelvic floor. When you breathe in, you're pushing your diaphragm down. You're creating a little bit of pressure differential between your rib cage and your pelvis. You're spreading out, you're creating space. And then as you exhale, you're feeling your pelvis lift and relax. So pelvic floor dysfunction is a huge part of the work that we do here in Pilates. It ties deeply with hypermobility, it ties deeply with back pain. It's just something that I have had a long journey with, and something that has been very helpful is understanding the feeling of diaphragmatic breath. Breathing in, feeling that downward pressure. Breathing out, feeling the little relaxation. I will say it is difficult to feel these things. It's going to take you a lot of time to build the mind-body connection. I have been training this way for 20 plus years of my life. And it wasn't until really, I think truly this year that I was like deeply feeling connected to the inhale, the exhale, and all of the moving parts, because there's a lot of anatomy to understand. Your pelvic floor is like a web of all kinds of unknown information. Your rib cage is a web of all kinds of muscles that you probably don't even know exist. So as you're going through this, I want you to focus on your powerhouse and your big muscles first. Rib cage, pelvis, that's step one. Just holding steady and trying to breathe. It's probably gonna be really hard to take in a lot of air. That's okay. I want you to breathe in for 3 or 4 counts. I want you to hold it there. I want you to breathe out for longer than you inhale. So exhale for 5 to 6 counts. Inhale for 3 or 4, hold, exhale for 5 or 6. That slower exhale, taking more time to push air out than you take to breathe air in, is going to help regulate your nervous system. It's going to help get your whole body more comfortable with breath. And holding your breath at the top, that's where you're building strength. If you think about resistance training, weight training, we talk about time under tension. This is time under tension. All of the same principles that get you results out in the weight room, they still apply in here. And breathing against flex muscles is a lot of fucking work. So you're going to breathe in against your flex muscles. You're gonna hold, you're gonna exhale, and you're gonna feel that little release. It's gonna take time. Think about zipping everything in and up. You can think about pulling a blueberry up through your vagina. You can think about suctioning something up into your body. I'm sure there are a bunch of other silly cues for this that I will come up with over time, and I will make another video saying all of them to you, but I want you to really think about pulling everything in, not on your inhale, but on your exhale. It's counterintuitive. Okay, long walk for a short drink of water. We hold everything here, we hold everything here. We breathe in for pressure, we breathe out for a release. You can take this into a couple of other positions that I really love, especially for like hypermobile injury recovery, shoulder injuries. The first one is gonna be our bear pose. So you're gonna come into that tabletop position. I'm gonna angle slightly so you can see. I want you to have a really flat back here. It's kind of hard to see that my back is flat on this angle because I have a little bit of muscle divot here, but you're going for a flat back. You can take a couple scapula shrugs here just to get your shoulders moving. You can take a couple cat-cows just to kind of connect to what is a true flat back. You can even balance a yoga block on your back or get like a rod or something that is flat so that you have feedback, because I find that like a hands-on, like a actual feedback can be really helpful for this. You're gonna come into this position. You're gonna think about the ribs and the pelvis pulling in slightly to find that flat back. You're gonna push the floor away. Don't lock out your elbows. It's gonna hurt your wrists. I don't want that. Soft elbows. It will be harder. You don't have to be here very long. You're gonna tuck your toes under and you're gonna hover those knees. And if you look at the side of my rib cage, you can see all those muscles that just came online supporting my rib cage. Those muscles take a lot of work to hold steady while I breathe in and out. 1 or 2 breaths, set your knees down, take a little break. That's one of the best ones. So before we get to plank, a lot of times like in mat Pilates, plank is like one of the first level 1 exercises we do. Plank is really hard for people. I see so many people on their fists. I'm gonna train you to be flat hands. I see so many people with saggy shoulders. I'm gonna train your shoulders. I see so many people with saggy back, saggy belly. We're gonna work on all of that too. This is one of those prerequisites that I start teaching everybody in my all levels classes from the get-go. I want you doing this from day 1, because once you can load a flat back position with a breath, now you've got time under tension in a really good spot. That's where your body is building muscle memory. That's where these muscles get the opportunity to really work. So do your bear pose. You can look at yourself in a mirror. You can record yourself. I highly recommend you record yourself with breathing so you can see if you're pushing your belly out. You can see what part of the breath your body wants to compensate. I want you to start training your own eye, looking at your own body move. It's gonna be super helpful. The last one I want to go over in this video is thigh stretch. This is one of my favorite exercises like in all of Pilates. It's a reformer exercise. You can do it on the Cadillac. You can also do it mat-based, and I love it so much. It's so good for your quads, for your knees, for your hips, just all the things. We're going to think about that same cue that we've been using. Rib cage pulling together, tailbone pulling up a little bit. I'm going to turn sideways so you get a better view. You're going to see my pelvis kind of curl under as I hinge back. So I'm in this position. I'm taking a little curl under. So I've got that nice lock. Hands can go on your hips. I like to bring my hands to this front frame of my body so that I can be mindful that I'm not slinking. I see this a lot and I see this a lot. And it's neither of those things. Stiff like a board from shoulders to knees. You're gonna hinge back and hold it there. I'm gonna move my hands so you can see. You breathe in and out. Breathe in, diaphragm down. Breathe out, belly button in and up. Come out of it. You can come down through bear pose, and you can take a couple here. I like to kind of thread these things together because then you're getting a little bit of consistency in the movements. If you want to challenge your thigh stretch, you can do it with your arms out in front of you. You can also hold a magic circle or a yoga block to get a little extra engagement from these side body muscles. Or if you want to do it on hard mode, if you feel really confident with not letting your ribs flare out as you're a little bit more advanced, you can keep your ribs locked down, lift your arms up, and then hinge back from there. Okay, this was a whole lot of talk about anatomy. This was a whole lot of soapbox about why breath work is so important. It takes a lot of muscles to breathe against flexed muscles. I want to give you guys some takeaways. If I leave you with nothing else from this video, first and foremost, breath work is core work. Being able to take a true diaphragmatic breath, it takes a lot of work from your muscles. It takes a lot of stability from your core, and it takes a lot of mind-body connection. So when you're in a yoga class, when you're doing Pilates, when you're working out on your own, do not underestimate the power of using your breath, breathing in, breathing out, and feeling this engagement. I'm going to make probably 1,000 more videos in my life about breath and different ways to breathe and different times to breathe in different ways because it's so important and it is like so foundational to this practice. But for now, that's one of the biggest takeaways. Breath work is core work. The second thing I want you to take away, it is okay that it might not click right away. This might take a while for you to really feel and embody. So I want you to focus on the landmarks of your body first. And then the last thing I want you to take away from this video, the most important thing, arguably, and one of the first things I said, and the reason I'm bringing it all the way back, is never underestimate the power of something that seems too simple. It seems simple that breath work is core work. It seems simple that walking will help you regulate your insulin resistance, that walking will help you make weight manage. Like, it's all of these things, they seem simple, but that doesn't mean they are ineffective. It means they are probably going to work. Try the simple thing. There is merit in the simple thing. I can tell you from experience, I have been working out for years of my life, like religiously since I was 7 years old, 4 to 6 days a week in the gym. No breaks. Like, I love this. I love movement. I've been an athlete for years. And it was not until a couple of years ago that I really started to understand diaphragmatic breath through pelvic floor physical therapy and through Pilates that my body changed. I did not have abs like this. I did not look like this. I did not feel like this in my body. I did not move the way that I move now. I could not leverage my breath the way that I can. And I can walk off stage after a 6, 7, 8 minute performance and I don't even feel winded. I can walk up flights of stairs and I am not out of breath. I walk miles a week with a 40-pound backpack and I feel fine. I breathe well because my muscles can support and my breath is optimized. So please, whatever you do, whatever you take away from this video, the most important thing that I want to leave you with, do not underestimate the power of things that seem simple. There is power in them. They will change your body. They will change your life. Love you all for now. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know if you found this helpful. If there's any specific exercises that you're trying to troubleshoot breathing on, hit me up because I am happy to make the content that you guys want to see.